Today's video is for somebody who wants to become a master at copywriting. This is the recipe. This is what I've used over the last 10 years to put myself in a position where our portfolio has done $260,000 in the last 7 days. Yesterday's video was all about how to improve your copy right now, but this is more about like how do you become a master of copywriting? Like what do you need to do on a daily basis? So I've broken the recipe down into 4 parts. The first one is feeding your subconscious. The second one is unlocking your flow state on demand. The third one is romanticizing the game. And then the fourth one is getting smarter and improving your taste. So let's start with feeding your subconscious. And I first learned about this principle from Hunter S. Thompson, the author of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I heard a story about him and how he used to type out Ernest Hemingway's novels on a typewriter like this. I would go to a cafe and I would take my pen and I would have my phone there and I'd write out by hand some of the great copywriting advertisements and great copywriting letters. This might feel like it's redundant, but something magical happens in this process when you start to write stuff and you start to feel what's possible through writing. Like through the action of doing it, you start to feel what's possible, and it like opens up all of these different parts of your brain to understand like where you can go with some of your writing, and then that somehow sticks inside of you and you have access to that later on. If you're truly serious about changing your life and you're truly serious about mastering this game, which I think is the most lucrative skill that you can learn without a degree or without any experience. I really believe this about copywriting. So if you're serious, this is where I'd start, feeding your subconscious. The second part of this recipe is unlocking your flow state. I've talked about journaling before, I've made a whole video on it, but there's something to be said about hitting the blank page every single day and just being like, you know what, I'm gonna write 1 page of dog shit. Doesn't matter what it is, I'm just not gonna stop writing. What happens as you go through this process is you start to learn how to write on demand. You know, I'm at a point in my life where I can write an email in 5 to 10 minutes and it will do $50,000. And I think the main part about this is because I can get into a flow state with writing almost instantly, because every day for the last 10 years, I've written at least 2 pages of pages like this without stopping and just being like, hey, whatever it is, it's dog shit, I don't care, I'm not judging it, the point is just to write. So not only are you learning to access your flow state, but you're also purging out some of the emotions that you've kept from the previous days, and you're starting to come up with new ideas, and all of this amazing stuff is happening, but it happens over a period of time. And if you just commit to doing a page or 2 pages of just pure dog shit writing, those things are going to happen. You're going to purge your emotions so that you're not going to be carrying around this stuff and you can start to think clearly. You're going to be coming up with new ideas, and you're going to be accessing your flow state, and all of that's really important. So moving on to number 3 is romanticizing the game. Well, you want to start to think about the game itself as something fun and something that you enjoy. For the most part, I'll just go to a cafe and I'll journal, and so like I'm watching the world go around and I'm writing and it's starting to feel fun. I'm associating writing with something that is enjoyable. And that's really key, whether that's you sitting in your backyard and just getting some quiet time, or whether you like to be around a little bit more white noise. The key is to figure out what you like to do when you're just in idle, and then introduce writing into that space. That's been truly helpful for me. So the 4th tip is getting smarter and improving your taste. This is a book recommendation period, and I'm going to go in order of books that I think are important if you're at the beginning. So I would start with The Boron Letters by Gary Halbert. He wrote this book in jail for his son, to teach his son how to write copy. This will give you an introduction. It'll give you the introduction to the AIDA formula, and he'll go really deep into facts and benefits and how to articulate them in your writing. So the second book is The Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy. The third book is a contemporary book, which is $100 Million Offers. And a funny story about this is I read this book last year, flying business class from Rome back to Perth. And on this flight, the first time I'd flown business internationally, I almost had this like sense of guilt, like I wasn't supposed to be on a business flight or something. And so what I did was I was like, I'm going to make this goal to read this entire book and take really great notes by the time I get home. It completely changed the way that I approached Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas. And since reading that book, we went from $4 million a year to $12 million a year. And I would say that if you're in ecom, applying what you can see in that book to your offers is like the most powerful thing that you will be able to do. The final book that I recommend in the copywriting realm is Breakthrough Advertising, and that's a lot more advanced. The thing that I'll say about reading books is a quote: the smarter you get, the slower you read. So we have a book club in the office, and every day everybody has to present like something that they've learned from the day before with their book. And these books range from copywriting books and marketing books to self-help books and leadership books and whatever. But as the team has started to grow in their sophistication in terms of reading, what's happening is everybody's now kind of like reading a few paragraphs a day and really taking their time to understand what they've learned and make it their own. They play with the ideas. Since they've started to move in that direction of reading slower and just playing with ideas, you can almost see their brain upgrading in real time. So that's just something to think about, especially when you're young. You try to read fast because you feel like if I finish the book, the information's inside of me, which is not true. Like if you read the book slowly and you really play with every idea and take your time with it, what will happen is that information will start to become your own, and you'll get so much more out of these 4 books that I just recommended. So that's copywriting books, that's the get smarter aspect. I would also recommend trying to improve your taste as a writer by becoming a better reader. So it's pretty out of vogue these days to read fiction, but I think that if you read the great fiction writers, that will really help you understand what good writing looks and feels like. I'll only recommend 1 book to start with. I feel like this is just a really great book for copywriters, which is Ham on Rye by Bukowski. Reflective, humane, tremendously evocative, and absorbingly readable. But read fiction and just start to romanticize writing in general. Like become a writer, become a writer's writer. And you do that by reading and you do that by writing. And so, you know, this has been a journey for me, this whole copywriting thing. It's like I'm an ecom operator, I direct these 4 brands, but I view the world through story and I view the world through copywriting, or at least this world. And I think if you're into marketing and you're into people and you're into understanding how the human being works, what motivates them, then copywriting is just such an interesting topic and it's a lucrative thing to master as well. So I'm about to go on a work retreat with Harriet, Scott and Robin. We're going down south to a place called Yelling Up for a couple of days. So till then, ciao.